Welcome to this week's Ruby Shoes podcast, bringing you the very best of local entertainment across East Anglia each and every week. This week we talk to one half of the huge country duo Sugarland with an exciting announcement. We find out about a brand new musical coming to the new Wolsey Theatre, and we get a sneak preview of Lowestoft's Jazz Festival. Plus, as always, we've got a roundup of some of the fabulous shows which are coming up you won't want to miss. Friday the 30th and Saturday the 31st of August at the new Wolsey Theatre in Ipswich, Welcome to Serene is presented by British Youth Music Theatre. A small coastal town facing extinction, a big machine. Welcome to Serene, they say. Here to tell us more is Hannah Benson, who's director, and Amelie Lloyd, one of the performers. Welcome to both of you.
Hiya.
Hello. It's so nice to have you here for the Ruby Shoes podcast. If I can start with you, Amelie, tell us more about the story, first of all, because it's a really unusual musical, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the story is one that I'm just getting familiar with myself, because we won't get the full script until we actually arrive on day one of rehearsals on Sunday. But the basic idea is that there's kind of like an inside circle of a story, which follows Pia, who's an outsider to the town of Serene. And she arrives and is suddenly kind of finds herself in this place where all the inhabitants are really crazy and kind of they have these lives that she just has never really experienced before. But they're dealing with this situation in their town where they're basically drowning under the sand dunes. So she comes and is just immediately hit with that. So she's exploring that town and that place in the inner story. And then there's also an outer circle of the story where the cast will kind of interact a bit with the audience, kind of showing that this story is relevant today in terms of kind of protest with climate change and how that is relevant to the world we live in now. It's not just a fictional story. So yeah, there's kind of an inner and an outer story.
So it's going to really make people think as well, isn't it? And Hannah, if I can ask you as director, this must be quite a challenge to direct because it's a musical, but you've got to sort of direct and organise, depict a big machine and the sort of the removal of all this sand that appears every day. So that must be quite a challenge to kind of create that on stage, I would think.
Yes, I mean, I'm very lucky in that I do have a wonderful cast of 36 people, which helps with being able to create big spectacular images. Sand on stage, always a fun challenge. And how we more specifically at one point in the show, the sound very much takes over the town, how we achieve that. But we've got some tricks up our sleeve to be able to achieve that.
Yeah. I bet you have. And is it your first musical theatre that you've directed? Have you done lots of this sort of thing before, Hannah?
It's my first time working with British Youth Musical Theatre. I've directed quite a few shows. I run a company that creates musicals, and then I predominantly work in new musicals. I feel like my favourite stage of any show is always the creative process, and rehearsals is only the tip of the iceberg. There is an entire mountain that's had to be climbed. The brilliant writers, Iona and Bethany, have been working for years creating this. I was lucky to join just before Christmas, enjoying that process.
Oh, brilliant. And Amelie, will it be your first time performing at the new Wolsey Theatre in Ipswich?
Yes, in my first time. So we had a few R&D days in May. And we were lucky enough to have a tour of the theatre. So we got to see the space and kind of get a feel for what it was going to be like in August. But I've never performed at the new Wolsey Theatre before, so I'm really excited.
Oh, well, I'm sure both of you are sure to get a warm welcome, a warm Ipswich Wolsey Theatre welcome, because it is a lovely theatre to play. It's very intimate, but it's got a very loyal audience, and everyone's going to be very positive in their reaction to you, definitely. We're looking forward to reviewing Serene, Welcome to Serene, the new musical by the British Youth Theatre. That's going to be amazing. And Hannah, I'll ask you first. What's going to be next for you after this? Is this part of a long tour, and then what comes after that?
I mean, that's a great question that I don't necessarily know the answers to. I think this is the first time that Welcome to Serene would have been staged, and we're really lucky to do it with such a large team. And I think, like any new show, the first outing is where we get the chance to take risks, figure out what works, what doesn't, really have a play. And then I imagine after that, Bethany and Iona, the writers, will decide its next direction, be it a tour. I mean, I'm of course biased, but I do think it's a really fantastic piece of writing and has a bright future ahead of it. So yeah, I'm wondering that as much as you guys.
So watch this space, basically. And I would imagine as well, something like that, because Emily was saying that there's kind of it's going to make us think it's a wider picture there. And we'll talk about climate change and things as well as we leave having watched something like this. Although it's fictional, it's going to kind of really kind of pique people's interest in that. Do you think because of that, it could attract some sort of external funding and thing to help you get this on the road and get this message perhaps around the UK?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think it's it ticks a lot of boxes in that sense that especially right now where we are at in society, it's an incredibly urgent piece. But it's also commercially, we're very inspired by Tim Burton, Dr. Seuss. It really is just a fantastic, entertaining, very funny feast for audiences to enjoy. And I think it balances those two things incredibly well. So yeah, I hope so. Funders, if you're listening, please come.
Definitely be in the audience, watch it, and then put your hands in your pockets afterwards. We'd like that. So, Emily, what's next for you after this? Have you got a packed schedule, or is it very much a sort of almost like a steak and sausage existence for you as an actor?
So I'm currently a year into my acting degree at Mountview. I am currently on my summer holiday, which is being lovely filled by Welcome to Serene. And then after Welcome to Serene, I have a week until we go back and I'll be in second year. So yeah, it's kind of really exciting. This is going to be my last show with BYMT before I'm too old to do it anymore. So it's going to be a really special one. And yeah, it's really exciting to spend the summer doing this before I go back to term time.
I bet it must be very exciting for you as well to do something like this. What's the long-term goal for you? Would you like to continue acting? Do you want to go into directing like Hannah, or something completely different maybe?
Yeah, I love acting. I love puppetry. Puppetry is something that I kind of feel really excited by. And I also write quite a lot of spoken word. So I'm kind of trying to get some of my poetry out there. And I really enjoy writing. But definitely something down the acting route with music, hopefully. Classical music is just something that's really important to me. So I'm hoping to be able to, at some point, tie all those strings together. So, yeah.
Well, Emily Lloyd and Hannah Benson, thank you so much for talking to us today about Welcome to Serene. It's coming to the new Wolsey Theatre Friday the 30th, Saturday the 31st of August. To get your tickets, go to wolseytheatre.co.uk and break a leg, both of you, as they say.
Thank you
very much.
Lowestoft are due to have their jazz festival coming up in September. It's now an annual event. It's run every year by Pakefield Seagull Theatre. And here to tell us more about the jazz festival is Des Reynolds, who is the general manager of the theatre. Des, thanks ever so much for joining us for Ruby Shoes podcast. Tell me, first of all, how did the jazz festival first come about? How long has it been running for?
Oh, hi there. Really pleased to come on and chat about the Jazz Festival. It's been running now since about 2018, when originally started by our wonderful founder, Bob Blizzard, the former Lowestoft MP. And back in the day, it was called the Lowestoft Jazz Weekend. And Bob was a massive jazz aficionado and a big supporter of jazz culture. And he started the event up using a lot of the links that he had from London jazz musicians and Ronnie Scott's Jazz Club, and it was a very successful event. Sadly, Bob passed away. We decided it as partly in his memory and partly just because it's a great event that we would carry it on, and we've transformed it a little bit. It's now the Lowestoft Jazz Festival, and it runs for sort of for 3 to 4 days each September, bringing up great artists from around the world as much as we can, the most up to up and coming and modern jazz musicians, along with local jazz acts as well.
It's going to be brilliant. So tell me, when does it start? What does the sort of first day? And give us some of the highlights as well, Des.
Sure. So this year we're running from Thursday the 12th of September through right the way to Sunday the 15th. We're starting with a nice local act on the 12th of September. We've got Pangea coming, who are well known in the area, a jazz trio led by Dave Latham, Dave Ingram, who'll be on sax that night, and he's going to be supported by Steve Minot and Rebecca Whaler and on violin and percussion. And they'll be performing at our partner venue in the Hotel Hatfield. We also host the excellent Milestones Jazz Club each month. So it's a recognised venue for those of you who already like jazz, but it's also a really good intimate space to hear a really high quality local jazz act.
Sounds absolutely wonderful, and I think it's the sort of thing as well that's grown since 2018, hasn't it? You know, you've not only increased the sort of the length of the festival, but the people, the sort of calibre of artists and performers that you're bringing in. You know, you're really getting known for it now, aren't you? So you're able to bring in some really, as you say, quite notable names, aren't you? Haven't you got? Is it? I hope I've pronounced this right. Is it Soweto Kinch?
Absolutely.
Really
big name. Really big name. Soweto Kinch on Friday here at the Seagull, 8 o'clock on Friday. Soweto's an award-winning alto saxophonist. He's been declared as one of the most exciting and versatile young musicians. But he's also received a lot of awards and nominations. He was nominated for the Mercury Music Prize. He's been nominated for Mobo's for Best Jazz back in 2003, and more recently he's had another Mobo Award that he actually won in 2007. So he's a real big name in the jazz area, and we're really excited to have him here with us on Friday the 13th. And he's as I say, going to be here at the Seagull. So we're increasingly trying to get these a real mixture of real up and coming talented jazz acts alongside sort of those who are really established and those that are local. So we've talked about Pangea being a local act. We've talked about Soweto being a real bit up and coming. On the Saturday afternoon, entirely free performance from Art Themen and his Art Themen Trio, who is again a previous winner from the British Jazz Awards, been around a very long time. He's a really well-known and well-respected jazz saxophonist. He'll be performing in the East Point Pavilion here in Lowestoft at 2:30 on the Saturday, completely free of charge. Anyone can pick up a ticket and go along and experience that completely free concert as part of the weekend. And we like to try and incorporate some free concerts, some low-cost acts into the festival. So there's a little something for everybody. If you're really into your jazz, then you're probably going to want to come along and see Soweto. If you are somebody who's a little bit unsure if you like it or not, there's a chance to pick up a free act as well. So there's something there for everybody right across Lowestoft. We've talked about Hotel Hatfield, we've talked about the East Point Pavilion. Back Saturday night, if you are looking for something to do on the 14th of September at 8 o'clock, we've got Barb Younger coming here to the Seagull for her performance. Now, she's again award-winning. She is particularly known for interpreting Bob Dylan songs, and she'll be doing a collection of Dylan and Leonard Cohen's most iconic tracks here at the Seagull, but obviously with her own jazz stylings on those. And again, she's going to be working with her long-standing pianist and collaborator Jenny Carr, and there'll also be a double bass in that act as well. So there's a lot there. If you're a jazz fan, she's a great act, but also if you're interested in Dylan or Leonard Cohen and that style of music, it'd be a really interesting act to come along and catch.
Oh, Des, you've clearly worked really hard. And this is fantastic as well for Lowestoft and Pakefield and the whole area to bring people to this part of Suffolk, isn't it? Because Suffolk itself is sometimes struggles to draw people here, but especially when you're, right up there on the tip of the coast, it can be hard. So you've worked really hard to actually put Lowestoft on the map. You must be absolutely thrilled.
Yeah, we're really pleased. We're really pleased with the lineup this year. We've got some, as I say, that really good mixture. It is hard. We do find that that hour and a half journey out from Ipswich or the 45 minutes over from Norwich is a long journey for some people, and getting them to commit to do that. You'd see sometimes you need some of these bigger names. On the Sunday night here at the Jazz Festival this year, we've got the Eddie Searles Big Band, and that's a real big. We've had them before at the festival in the park, and it's a really, really big show to close out the festival. They'll be here with their 10-piece jazz orchestra, and that's again gives a really broad selection of jazz which suit all tastes. So there's people that come and see that band when they were here with us before who'd never come to a jazz concert before, but were really enthused by Eddie and his big band sound. A little bit different to something like a jazz saxophonist, but again really high quality and really well known nationally, the big band sound from Eddie Searles. So that's on Sunday night at 7:30. So again, another reason to make that trip over to Lowestoft to come and visit us and see what we've got to offer. That one will be at the Seagull.
Okay, come for the weekend. Look, enjoy the beach, enjoy the music, do all of that. How can people get hold of tickets, Des?
Absolutely. So they can go to lowestoftjazz.co.uk, or they can come to the Seagulls website, seagull.co.uk, and all the booking details are on there. There's a telephone number, or you can book online, whichever works for you. If they pop along to lowestoftjazz.co.uk, all of the acts are on there, all of the details and all of the bookings.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Des, for your time today. And I hope it all goes brilliantly for you and that the sun still shines as well. Finally, for this week's episode, Christian Bush is one half of what was Sugarland, a massive country music duo with Jennifer Nettles. Now, I caught up with Christian and I asked him about his links with Dolly Parton, his hugely popular beach music, and also his hot off the press news regarding his former duo, Sugarland. Christian Bush is a multi-platinum selling 2-time Grammy Award winner, most known for co-founding the record-breaking country duo Sugarland with Jennifer Nettles, of course. Born in Knoxville, Tennessee, but raised just outside of Knoxville in a small town at the base of the Smoky Mountains, also the home of Dolly Parton. So welcome, first of all, Christian, to the Ruby Shoes podcast. Now,
thank you.
Not only were you raised in the same part of the Smoky Mountains as Dolly, but you also got your musical debut opening for her with your brother Brandon, didn't you? So tell me about your memories of that day. And do you still bump into Dolly, when you're kind of hanging around Nashville?
First of all, the stories of our initial opening for Dolly is very exciting to talk about, but it was very underwhelming to see. We were not very old. I think I was maybe 6, and Brandon was maybe 3, and we were kind of our family's party trick. I don't know if you have children that can play an instrument or can do a dance or something. You make them do their party trick for all of your adult friends. We were currently the trick, and at that point, and Dolly was performing for my granddad and for his employees at his little business. He ran a cannery, and so we opened for him. My brother jokes that it was why he decided he was just tall enough to find himself embraced by the music business during his hug.
Have you ever sort of met her again since and said, I opened for you when I was 6 years old?
Weirdly, we haven't crossed paths yet, though. Jennifer starred in like a made-for-TV show with her maybe once or twice. And I know they brought it up because she was trying to explain how we know each other. And as a kid, I'd met her a bunch because she would hang out. She always came back. She, adored that part of the country, just like we all did. I just happened to have been like exposed to You're not going to believe this. I was exposed to music I'd never heard before, and I was so enthralled by it. And it was the sound of what we would call college radio, but you would have called The Clash or Adam and the Ants, or like I was like a kid that was exposed to this music that sounded nothing like the music I came from. I got obsessed with it, had a rock band, changed my whole life to chase that dream, to end up suddenly writing country music as I turned 30 and then starting Sugarland.
Yeah.
So the first question was, how did I get to beach music? And it is a version of country that I'm really excited about. We have a really weird reality in our country, which is most of it doesn't have a coastline. So you live in this fantasy of relief. It's just over there by X number of hours. And sometimes you have to do whatever you can to just close your eyes and listen to a song and imagine that you're there.
Yeah.
Starting my day, giving away all of my baseball cards. Felt so good by the afternoon.
So your anniversary, you're actually going to go back to the US and you're going to be touring again, aren't you, with Jennifer Nettles as Sugarland?
Yes. Here, this is the strangest, most wonderful little, like, at some point here, it's so exciting. First of all, secondly is during, we had this record ready to go during COVID. We had spent 2 or 3 years rebuilding the band on tour, on radio and all this stuff. And then COVID happened. And then literally just the lights went out. Like the label didn't want to put anything out. Jennifer was going to go do something else. I was like, oh, okay, I'll do things over here. And that's where Megan Maroney was our intern, like a year later. And then I rebooted my 90s band where I started touring the UK, Billy Pilgrim. And so suddenly I'm coming to the UK on this tour, just me and my brother. We land in Atlanta. The next day we play a sold out show at the Buckhead Theater for Billy Pilgrim. I do 2 more solo shows, and then we go out as Sugarland with Little Big Town in arenas. It's like I had a fever dream.
Mm-hmm.
Where I went back to visit all of the wonderful things that I got to make without ever having to stop the other thing.
Yeah. I mean, you've got everything. You've got the best of all worlds, not even both.
It's insane.
There's so much going on.
And I just got information like, hey, Christian, by the way, when you're in Nashville, in between shows for the Sugarland tour, can we start the new Megan Maroney record? I'm like, yeah, of course.
Oh, Christian, you're allowed to enjoy yourself. You've worked really, really hard. You're a proper, hard-working musician, and it's been a long time. You've really had to knock on a lot of doors. So I wish you all the best of success. I'm glad it's all coming all at the same time for you, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the UK. So thanks for your time today.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Can't take it with you when you've seen a hearse with the trailer. Never seen a hearse with the trailer hitch.
You can see Christian Bush performing on Monday the 2nd of September at the Apex Theatre in Bury St Edmunds. Go to theapex.co.uk to get your tickets. Next week, we'll be away at the Twinwood Festival, which is a really big vintage festival held once a year where we all get to dress up in 40s and 50s clothes and we dance to some amazing live music from that era too. And you might remember, if you've been listening since the very start of the Ruby Shoes podcast, that we interviewed an act also called Ruby who came from Suffolk at last year's Twinwood Festival. So we'll be back with you from the following Monday. That's Monday the 2nd of September. We'll be chatting with Colin Sutton. He used to be head of the murder squad for the Met Police, and he's currently touring his way around the country with his Making of a Murderer tour. More on that in a couple of weeks' time. In the meantime, here are some more East Anglian shows you just might want to check out.
What's on across Suffolk with Stephanie McIntyre. Sponsored by Ruby Shoes Podcast, your weekly entertainment news podcast. Available from your smart speaker, Apple, Spotify, or you just follow Ruby Shoes Podcast on Facebook and click on the weekly podcast link to listen.
There's a host of great summer shows on offer across Suffolk's magnificent theatres, and here's just a selection to tempt you. Monday the 26th of August through to Saturday the 31st of August, presented by Aldborough Classic Theatre, Snake in the Grass. It's an ice-cold psychological thriller by Alan Ayckbourn, and the world premiere of this play opened in 2002. It has an all-female cast, and it features Annabelle Chester, who returns home to her sister. After their sadistic father's death, Annabelle walks into a ghostly nightmare of jealousy, blackmail, revenge and murder. Now, the Sunday Times called this play a creepily, scarily, eerily enjoyable evening. So book your tickets if you dare. And then from Wednesday the 28th of August through to Saturday the 31st of August, this time at the Southwold Arts Centre, it's your final chance to see Rough Crossing, adapted by Tom Stoppard. Stoppard's characters are on a transatlantic liner. Rough Crossing combines a clever plot with richly drawn characters and a witty dialogue, and it's directed by Mark Sterling. This shipboard comedy has music and plenty of summer fun for you to enjoy. To book either Snake in the Grass or Rough Crossing, call 01728 343 344 or go to ticketsource.co.uk/Southwold and Aldborough Theatre. Thursday the 29th of August, Thorrington Theatre presents Howard's End, written by Mark Farrelly, with Simon Cartwright as Frankie Howard and Mark Farrelly as Dennis Hamer. And it's all directed by Joe Harmston. Frankie Howard was one of Britain's most loved comedians for half a century, but he had a secret, and the secret's name was Dennis. This hugely acclaimed play by Mark Farrelly takes you to the heart of Frankie and Dennis's clandestine relationship, which lasted from the 1950s until Frankie's death in 1992. It also affords a glorious opportunity to encounter Frankie in full flight stand-up mode. Packed with laughter, but unafraid of truth, Howard's End portrays two humans' journey through closeness, love, grief, and all the other things that make life worth living. Come and say farewell to a legend and learn the art of letting go. To book your tickets for Thorrington Amphitheatre, the Theatre in the Woods, go to thorringtontheatre.co.uk. Friday the 30th of August from 7:30pm at the Apex Theatre in Bury St Edmunds, you're invited to enjoy One Night at the Disco. Join the Apex as they recreate the magical 70s and let them take you on a musical journey straight to the heart of disco. Relive some of the greatest songs of all time from artists such as Donna Summer, Gloria Gaynor, Earth, Wind and Fire, Sister Sledge and Chic. This show boasts a sensational live band, incredibly talented cast and some stunning vocals, and it's sure to have you dancing in the aisles. Do come dressed to impress and celebrate that golden age of disco. With songs such as Never Can Say Goodbye, On the Radio, Hot Stuff, Car Wash, Boogie Wonderland, and many more. It's the feel-good show of the year. Lose yourself, leave your troubles at home. Check out theapex.co.uk. Friday the 30th and Saturday the 31st of August at the new Wolsey Theatre in Ipswich, Welcome to Serene, all presented by British Youth Music Theatre. A small coastal town facing extinction, a big machine, welcome to Serene, they say. This brand new musical takes you into the weird world of a small town called Serene, along with its zany inhabitants. With daily avalanches of sand burying everything at ground level, the residents rely on the machine, the town's answer to the threat of extinction, by sucking in sand from the beach and spitting it back into the ocean. But not everything is as simple as it seems. As the tides rise and the sand piles high, Serene may be on the verge of the greatest catastrophe it's ever faced. Will the machine be ready? To find out, go to wolseytheatre.co.uk and get your tickets. And Saturday the 31st of August at the Ipswich Regent Theatre, it's the 50th anniversary show of Showaddywaddy. The greatest rock and roll band in the world is a bold statement, but Showaddywaddy have lived up to the title for the last 5 decades. Formed in Leicester in 1973 from an amalgamation of several local bands, Showaddywaddy have gone on to sell more than 20 million records and tour all 4 corners of the globe. Their 50th anniversary show at the Ipswich Regent Theatre will be dynamic and uplifting, featuring all their greatest hits, many of which reached number 1 in the pop charts across Europe. So they include things like Under the Moon of Love, 3 Steps to Heaven, Hey Rock and Roll, When, Blue Moon, and Pretty Little Angel Eyes, and so many others. So come on, join the dancing party. You've got what it takes. Go to ipswichtheatres.co.uk to find out more. Don't forget, you can always get in touch with us via our Facebook page at Ruby Shoes Podcast. We love to hear about your forthcoming plays, your comedy, even your outdoor events, so we can tell everybody else. Remember, you can always listen again to any of the Ruby Shoes podcasts via Apple or Spotify, or just by simply clicking on the podcast links on our Facebook page, and follow us there too for all the latest entertainment news. I'm Steph McIntyre. Thanks for listening, and we'll chat more about live theatre and all kinds of entertainment next month. In the meantime, check out our socials at Ruby Shoes Podcast. You can find us on Twitter or X, Facebook and Instagram. We'd love you to follow us, and you have a great week.